going to do first is we're going to watch a little story from my TEDx talk. And again, I'd like you to take a piece of paper and a pen or some device to write on and write down what is it that makes it funny if you think it's funny. And remember, funny doesn't mean necessarily people laugh. People can have a smile because something's funny. So don't just look for what makes people laugh. Look for just generally the humorous bits, the bits that sort of make you go, what is it that causes that? And think about what you're hearing, what you're seeing. And with the hearing, think about the word choice, the timing, the tone. And with the body, think about the actions, the voice, the mannerisms, everything that you can think of. Are you ready? Here we go. Let's try this again. Cross your fingers, everybody. Cross your fingers. Okay, so far so good. Here we go. By the way, this is a story. Well, I'm not going to tell you anything about it.
The true story happened to me. A while ago, I was in a pharmacy. I had to buy Omega. My doctor said I should get Omega. And I go to the shelf, there's tons of Omega. There's Omega that's high in DHA, Omega that's high in EPA, and I don't know which one to buy. Now the sales rep happened to be there, and I saw she was like this well-dressed professional woman. I walk over to her and I see this look as she sees me, this sort of, it's a look I recognize very well. Her eyes go all wide. It's sort of that panic, oh my God, I gotta speak to a native speaker and she's gonna judge me and notice my mistakes. I go up to her and I explain my situation, which Omega do I get? And she starts explaining to me everything about DHA and EPA you could possibly imagine. She speaks very quickly, goes all around in circles, and when she finishes, no idea what to buy, right? So I turned to the girl behind the counter. Now the girl behind the counter, I heard her before, her English level is very low. But when I walk over to her, this girl, there's no fear. In fact, she's just looking at me. You know that look? Like, yeah, okay, so how? Right. Yeah, I've been in Malaysia a long time. So I go up to her and I explain the problem, EPA, DHA. She looks at me, she says, okay, EPA for heart, DHA for brain. Your heart okay or not? So I said, yeah, I said my heart is really, I think it's pretty good. She says, your brain okay or not? I said, yeah, no. No, my brain is not as good as it used to be. She looked, she said, okay lah, you take Omega DHA, can? Problem solved, right? So we've got.
So first thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to put you in a breakout room with 2 other people. So there will be 3 of you together. And put your thoughts together and see if you can come up with a list of 4 or 5 things that you found that added to the humor in it. And you'll just have about 4 minutes for this. What you discussed with your group, pop in the chat box. And if anybody would like to unmute, just share with me. So you can unmute and share, or you can write in the chat box what you discussed.
Like Aji discussed about the video that we are watching, and that I discuss about the intonation of your voice also can make us loving. Yeah.
Okay. What about the intonation?
Yes, I said the intonation and your body language. There are three body language: gesture, and the intonation, and your voice.
Thank you. So what was it about the gestures and the body language that made it funny? Because body language and gestures aren't always funny. So what made the body languages and gestures funny? Can anybody identify that? Just to
I felt you are very animated. Your gestures were very natural and they flow along with the story. It's easy for the audience to fit into the picture that you are trying to create.
Very interesting. So I believe, to rephrase what Ravin is saying, is that the audience can actually go into the scene in their head, right? They're not hearing you tell a story. They're actually almost in the scene with you.
Yeah.
And one of the keys to humor is exactly that. It's to bring people right into a scene, not describe things, not tell them about things. And I'm going to talk a little bit, not only what makes funny, but what kills funny, where people go wrong. So if you have a humorous speech, how many of you, just show me with your hand if you're going to be participating in the Humorous Speech Contest? Okay, a few. Yeah, a few. Not Boy Henry's like, I'm not sure yet. Okay, so you don't want to talk about things. Talking about things is not funny. Taking people right into the scene is funny. And there's many ways that you can do that. If you want to talk about something, you can talk about it as though you're thinking out loud about it. Just by changing it around to thinking out loud about it, suddenly you bring us into the scene. For example, and I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say I wanted to talk about a trip I'm planning. Well, if I'm saying, I was planning a trip and I didn't know where to go, and I thought maybe I would go to Bali, that's not very funny. But if you suddenly put your thinking into the scene, so I had this trip to plan and I don't know where to go. And I'm thinking, do I go to Bali? Is Bali the right place? What if it's cold? What if I can't get in? What if I have to take a vaccine? What if I have to do a COVID test? How many, if you talk through what you're thinking, that's a way you can talk about something and make it funny. So two things: bring us into the scene, or show us you're thinking about something, and that will bring us into the scene in a different way. So thank you very much for that. What else made it funny? What else did you say? Somebody else. Somebody said body language. Okay, so somebody said that in the chats, and also Herman just said it. So what about the body language makes it funny? In other words, what do you have to do to body language to make it suddenly funny?
Facial expression.
Again, sorry, say that again, Adina.
Facial expression, especially when you were describing about the lady saying, I could relate because that's typical Malaysian sales girl.
Okay, what Adina's saying is very on point. Adina said it's typical, right? Body language and gestures become funny when people look at them and they say, oh my God, I recognize that. That's like somebody I know. It's not that funny if it's not recognizable. So you want to find the identifiable body language and gestures and voice that everybody recognizes. And then you want to, was it natural? You said it was natural, Herman, or Riva, but was it natural or was it exaggerated? What would you say, natural or exaggerated? Show me with your hand, natural or exaggerated? Come on, show me. Yeah, it was exaggerated, wasn't it? So you take what's normal that everybody knows about, and then you make it bigger, right? Those are the two keys. Okay, thank you. What else? What else did you notice that was funny about it?
I noticed that you made a few pauses.
Pauses.
Yes, so that the people, the audience laugh.
It's very interesting what you just said about the pauses, because pauses do two things in humor. And we're going to take a look. We're going to go back at it. Why don't we do that now? I like what Debbie said about clear words or simple words. With humor, what kills humor is when people get too fancy with words. So you want to narrow your words down to the fewest possible. In other words, it's not funny to say, I wasn't sure which place I should go to, but Bali was high on my list. That's not funny. It's too many words. But if you simply say, where do I go? Bali? Yeah, Bali. You know, if you make it like clean, sharp, it's funny. I'm going to share it again. And what we're going to do is we're going to just analyze it. Once we've done that, I'm going to ask some of you who have a funny story ready to tell your story. And then we're going to look and we're going to make it funnier. We'll see if we can apply the principles. Okay. So let's go back. I'm going to share the screen. We're going to go through it slowly and just analyze. Everybody ready for that? Okay. Now, first of all, I want to ask you what you notice about the very, very beginning. How does it start?
It's a true story. Happened to me. A while ago, I was in a pharmacy. I had to buy Omega. My doctor said I should get Omega. And I go to the shelf, there's tons of Omega. There's Omega that's high in DHA, Omega that's high in EPA.
What do you notice, first of all, about the beginning? Anything at all you can share?
Setting.
Yes, it starts with a setting. Now, one of the other things that kill humor that a lot of speakers do in Toastmasters, don't do this, is they give way too much background. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me. Okay, it was about 3 years ago when I was living in my other house. No, wait, was it 4? Yeah, it was about 4 years ago. And so I'd been to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, you should get some vitamin, background doesn't help you. In fact, with any speech, background is a killer, but with humor, it's especially a killer. You dive into the scene. You take us there immediately. Now, let me ask you something. That beginning part, was it unusual or normal? Show me with your hand. Was it unusual or normal? Unusual or normal?
Normal.
It was quite normal, right?
Normal, yes.
Comedy is funny when you start with very normal life, because you see, what's really funny is not jokes. What's funny is taking a look at normal human beings, normal people, normal life that we can all relate to, and then showing how crazy we all are, showing the absurd side, the craziness of humans and the world we live in. That's funny. So you want to start normal, with normal life, something everybody can relate to, like going to a pharmacy, right? Because everybody's on board. Everyone's going, oh yeah, I know that scene. I've done that a million times. Now let's go on a little bit.
Omega that's high in EPA, and I don't know which one to buy.
Now, what do you notice about the grammar here? What tense am I using mostly? Not always, but mostly. Present or past? Take a look again. Tell me.
Omega that's high in EPA, and I don't know which one to buy. Now,
I don't know which one to buy. What is that?
Present tense.
That's present tense, okay? So humor is funny when you tell it like it's right now. So instead of saying, I didn't know which to buy, that's not so funny. But when you take us into the scene, you're taking us here and now. And I'm looking and I'm seeing all these vitamins and I have no idea which one to buy. Now it's funny. You're really taking us there real time. So present tense.
the sales rep happened to be there. And I saw she was like this well-dressed professional woman.
Yeah, I don't always use it. I should, but I don't.
I walk over to her and I see this look as she sees me, this sort of, it's a look I recognize very well. Her eyes go all wide. It's sort of that panic, oh my God, I got to speak to a native.
Okay, do you think the woman in the pharmacy really did have huge eyes? No, it's an exaggeration. But I want you to notice something. How did I describe the woman at first? Tell me how I described the woman at first, because this is a key part of comedy.
Normal. It's normal.
Sort of, it's a look I recognize very, and I saw she was like this well-dressed professional woman.
So she's a well-dressed professional woman, right? Is that weird? Is that crazy or normal?
Normal.
Completely normal, right? Humor is always funny when you go from normal to, oh my God, that's not normal. Okay, that's what makes it funny. So I'm presenting her as a normal woman. Now, if I had said, I walk into the pharmacy and the woman looks so scared to see me, that wouldn't be funny. But it's funny if she's a normal woman and she looks up and suddenly she's terrified, because then we meet her as someone we recognize. Okay, let's keep going.
I walk over to her and I see this look as she sees me, this sort of, it's a look I recognize very well. Her eyes go all wide. It's sort of that panic, oh my God, I gotta speak to a native speaker and she's gonna judge me and notice my mistakes. I go up to her.
Now, what I want you to look at now is I want you to notice the timing of the joke. Now, I'm going to tell you what I say. I say that she said everything very quickly. And then I say, and when she finishes, so I say she said everything, she told me everything about DHA and EPA. And when she finishes, and then I pause, and then I say, no idea. Now I want you to watch that and tell me, what is it about that that makes it funny? Watch.
I explain my situation, which omega do I get? And she starts explaining to me everything about DHA and EPA you could possibly imagine. She speaks very quickly, goes all around in circles, and when she finishes, no idea what.
Okay. So did you notice a change in beat? She's telling me everything. She knows everything about DHA and EPA. And when she finishes, pause. No idea what to buy. What is it about that that makes it funny?
It's a sudden twist because you're given so much of information and then you're expected to make a decision, but you can't.
Yeah, now you hit one word right on the head there. It's the expectation. Okay, so humor, this is probably the biggest key to humor and the one that most people need a lot of practice at, but this is going to be your key to being funny. You guide the audience to think you're going to say something, and the audience is all ready, right? The audience is ready for me to say, she said everything about EPA and DHA, and when she finished, I knew everything there was about GPA, and I knew exactly what to buy. That's what you're expecting. So what's funny is the twist, that even though she told me everything there was about these two things, when she's finished, I know nothing. But it's only funny if you go from A to B suddenly. So you go, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. The audience is saying, oh yeah, she's explaining. She's telling her now Marianna's going to know everything. And then you stop and you can hold that moment. You can pause as though you're going to say, then I knew everything, but you don't. You say, I didn't know anything. And that's what makes it funny, that twist. And the more you pause and hold the pause, the funnier it is. Okay, now I'm going through this quite quickly because I want to make sure you guys have a chance. So let's keep going.
Bye. So I turn to the girl behind the counter. Now the girl behind the counter, I heard her before, her English level is very low. But when I walk over to her, this girl, there's no fear. In fact, she's just looking at me. You know that look? Like, yeah, okay, so how? Right. Yeah, I've been in Malaysia a long time.
So that's just exaggerating what the audience is familiar, right? That's taking something they all know because they're all like that in the audience. And they're saying, ha, 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 yeah, that's me times 10. Now let's watch the next bit. And I want you to tell me, what is it that's funny in the timing? Because this is the other part of timing. What is it funny when I say she looks at me, that whole part with the other girl? So you tell me that now.
So I go up to her and I explain the problem, EPA, DHA. She looks at me, she says, okay, EPA for heart, DHA for brain.
Now, why did I pause between EPA for heart, DHA for brain? This is a different funny pause, different. It's not about the twist at all. Let me rewind it. You tell me what makes it funny. Why does that pause help it?
And I explain the problem, EPA, DHA. She looks at me, she says, okay, EPA for heart, DHA for brain.
Can anyone share with me why that pause was so important?
Because she has difficulty speaking English.
Maybe.
Because she tried to impersonate the seller.
Maybe. I'm going to give you a more basic answer. We know there's EPA and DHA, right? So when I say she told me EPA for heart, the audience is expecting what? What are you thinking is going to come next?
Lengthy explanation.
I think this may be a bit subtle, but I think the audience they're waiting because they know that it's going to be another sentence about DHA. They know it's going to be similar. See, sometimes humor is funny when the audience is expecting it to come and the audience is saying, oh, she's going to say this. She just said EPA for heart. Now pause. Oh, I bet the next thing is going to be DHA something. And then when you say it, it's called the payoff. It's called the payoff because the audience is going, they're waiting for you to say it. Watch and you'll see a second example of that payoff where the audience knows what's coming, and I hold the pause long enough for the audience to be saying, say it, and then I say it. Watch.
Your heart okay or not? So I said, I said my heart is really, I think it's pretty good. She says, your brain okay or not?
Okay, so what happened there? What made that funny? That pause.
The payoff, as you said.
It was the payoff, right? They saw the pattern there. They saw that pattern. So as soon as I said, your heart okay or not, that's sort of funny because it's very Malaysian language and they all get that. So there's a little laugh. But then when I pause and I look at me as her, I'm looking, they know the next thing she's going to say is your brain okay or not. They know it's coming. So I can hold that pause a long time, but I have to stay in the scene, right? I have to let them see that it's going to come any second now. And then it's funny. So we're going to stop this for now. There are some ideas. So let me stop sharing. And I'm going to share my background for a second. So just a couple of things we want to look at, right? No long background to a story. When you're trying to be funny, don't just dive into the scene. Start with very normal life. And then show how crazy and funny people are when you exaggerate them and you make them something that we all know that's common but exaggerated. And make their characteristics exaggerated too. And two types of funny. One is they're expecting you to say something, and then you say the opposite. The other is they know it's coming, and you hold that pause, and they're waiting for you to say it, and then you say it. So in this short session, that's all I want to share with you.